Okay, I've got an '07 Pontiac G6 with a 3.5 liter V6 in it. It's my nephew's car. He had a power steering pressure line that was leaking, which is this line right here. This line right here that goes down to the bottom of the reservoir here on the pump. Goes down, and look down underneath there and you can see that it goes down on top of the rack and pinion and then cuts across and actually bolts up back into the rack and pinion and inserts clear over here on the other side of the rack and pinion over here. And I'll try to crawl underneath there and show you that here in a minute. So to replace this line, it's a pretty good process. You have to remove or at least loosen up the engine pull piece that in case you ever want to pull the engine, that's what this bracket's for. It's the only purpose. Is it sits right in here. You're gonna have to loosen it up and then let it go out of the way. You have to remove the idler pulley, this one right here, which bolts on right there to that. I've got the belt completely, serpentine belt pulled away so I don't get any oil on it and keep it out of the way. Then you're gonna have to remove the 3 bolts on the power steering pump to get it removed. You can see 1 bolt right there through the pulley. The next bolt's right down there below it. So you can see those 2 bolts. I'll see if I can put the light here so you can still see and it not blind it. So 1 bolt is right there and the next one's down there below it. And then the 3rd one is down over here on this other side. And I'm not sure I can actually get the pulley to twist and see it, but it's down here on the bottom side, clear down here on this bottom side down over here. And you don't have to pull the pulley. I mean, the pulley moves when you got the bolts screwed in far enough. It'll spin and there's holes in the pulley. There you can barely see the bolt right over here, right down there. You can see the bolt. But anyway, so those are all 13 millimeters. So you'll need a 13 millimeter socket on a 3/8 inch drive. Short socket works just fine. Matter of fact, I still got it on mine right here. So I'm gonna tell you what you need to get this off, because you're gonna have to remove the pump so you can lift it up out of there before you can take that nut off, that flare nut off that hose. Otherwise, you'll never get it off down as it sits down in there. You just don't have the room. You'll need those pliers to remove this clamp, pull this clamp back. You'll need a couple of screwdrivers to get some of the hose clips loose here. And I have my other screwdriver here. There's my Phillips screwdriver. You're gonna need a 16 millimeter open end wrench, and that's to loosen up that flare nut on the back side of the pump. You're gonna need a 15 millimeter short socket and a 13 millimeter short socket for your 3/8 inch drive. Ratchet. You're gonna need a 10 millimeter socket, and I used a 1/4 inch drive, which was plenty, for the bolt down on the back of the rack and pinion, clear back over here on this side. I actually didn't end up using that, sorry. What I ended up using was a ratchet wrench. 10 millimeter ratchet wrench worked fantastic down there on the where the lines go into the actual rack and pinion. I used a 15 millimeter ratchet wrench on the front of the motor. That worked out a lot better than the ratchet on most of mine. So the 2 ratchet wrenches, I think, made this job a lot faster. I'd never done this before, so I was going into new territory. You can see where I have another trouble light dropped into the back side down there to get the 10 millimeter out of the bracket. So I'm going to show you the old line. And so here's the old line where that 10 millimeter bolt goes right down there, and then the return line sits inside the bracket here, and then that's 1 bolt holds them both into the top of the rack and pinion. So that's where that was. I reached up into the rack and pinion from underneath down here between the tire in there, and then I reached right back in there, and you can't really see it, but it sits right down there on the back side of this rack and pinion is where those 2 pieces go in there. You're gonna have to take a bolt, a nut off the back of this clamp here on the back of the alternator. That's also a 10 millimeter. I used a deep well socket with just the 1/4 inch drive ratchet. That worked fantastic for me. And that's about it. But it's a process. Don't think you can get this done in an hour or 2. It's gonna take you at least 3 to 4 hours to get this thing out, because it's a real pain in the butt. Everything is hard to reach, but it's doable. If you have the energy and the tools, you can certainly do it. I'm getting everything put back together. The new oil line's already on. I've got the pump mounted. I just got to tighten everything down and get it done. But I wanted to show you how to do this before I got it all put back together and made it a little bit easier to see. Good luck. Have a good time.